Have you heard about the new STIs? The other day I posted a story about my most recent experience of attending a sexual health clinic, and in that I mentioned Mgen as well as Trichomoniasis. And sometimes I forget that I am in a little bubble of SX educators and researchers, so I tend to assume that if I've heard the news about something, everyone else has. But as it turned out, I got quite a lot of messages asking me what Mgen was, so we clearly need to talk about it. Mgen, or Mycoplasma genitalium, has recently gained traction as the new trendy STI. Trendy only in the sense that it's becoming more commonly diagnosed. And what it is a bacterium that makes itself comfortable in your genital tract and is generally harmless, unless it gets to a point where there's an overgrowth of that bacterium and then you need medical intervention. The other brand spanking new STI is Trichomoniasis, which is caused by the parasite Trichomonas vaginalis. Don't be scared of the word parasite. It's not as terrifying as it sounds. So because the self-test kits that you can order in the UK only routinely test for HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and if necessary hepatitis B, I was curious to see if I could go to a clinic and get tested for Trichomoniasis and Mgen as well, because I have some health anxiety and I prefer to rule things out, and also have a clearer picture of what tests are available to me on the NHS. Here's the information I was teasing on my stories about Mgen, because that's something that I didn't know before I went to that clinic. Because the nurse was very happy to test me for Trichomoniasis, but she was not going to test me for Mgen. The reason being is that they're not allowed to do a test for Mgen if you're asymptomatic. So they only test for it if you have lower abdominal pain. The reason for that is that the Mycoplasma bacterium is present in a majority of sexually active people. So similarly to HSV, aka herpes simplex virus, it's considered not in the best interest of the public to test for it unless you have symptoms, because the issues of people panicking and misunderstanding the impact of their results is greater than the potential benefit of doing a test on an asymptomatic person. Because if you don't have any symptoms for Mgen, the bacterium might still be present, but it will usually just clear out on its own, or there'll be some sort of equilibrium in your body, which means your body can manage things on its own. And it's only when you start developing symptoms that you need medical intervention. In that sense, it's quite similar to BV, so bacterial vaginosis, where obviously there are a multitude of bacteria in and around the vagina, and that is how it's meant to be. It's only when there's an imbalance that you need a bit of help with that. Actually, speaking of BV, a lot of the symptoms of BV, so slightly odorous and increased discharge, etc., are the same symptoms as trichomoniasis. So it may very well be worth not just grabbing some pessaries from the pharmacy, but actually going to a clinic and getting tested to see if you have BV and or trichomoniasis. The great thing is, if you're receiving antibiotics for BV, it doesn't actually matter whether you also have trichomoniasis or not, because the antibiotics to treat them are the same. So realistically, it would clear out both at the same time, which is a little treat. So if you hear people talking about Mgen or trichomoniasis being new STIs on the rise, it's nothing to panic about. It's really just something to be aware of in case you do experience any symptoms like a change in odour, a change in discharge, or lower abdominal pain. In those cases, please seek medical advice. If you have any other questions, please let me know.